for Tuesday, October the 11th, 2016 at 5 p.m. Let the record show that all members are present except for Isa. Voting sequence for this meeting is as follows: Bailey, Notebook, Isa, Mathis, Sanchez, Tuttle, and Idle. And before we get to the audience, the visitors, I would like to congratulate Mr. Larson
Yes.
on his recent achievement, named one of the 40 under 40 business leaders by the Central Illinois Business Magazine. Very nice article in there. Thanks to Carol Jones, who was nice enough to nominate him. Very well deserved and appreciated, and I think all right. Audience to visitors. Consent agenda. Everybody's had a chance to look at the consent agenda, minutes, financial. I would entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Would each member please respond to the motion? Bailey?
Yes.
Notebook?
Yes.
Mathis?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Idle is yes. Secretary's report, you got anything for me? Mr. Larson?
The first thing that we have tonight is we have the presentation of our annual financial report. We have our auditors here with us from Kemper, so I'm going to let him do the presentation.
It's always a pleasure to come to deliver the audit and try to bring you up to date with where we're at. I was going to start with the balance report, and I'm not going to go through very much of it because I have a one-page summary of a lot of the financial highlights. So there are a few things I'd like to point out in the report. I know none of you have been through this before, but if you turn past the table of contents, you'll come to a page of our letterhead that's titled the Independent Auditor's Report. And essentially, this is what you're paying us for, is this audit report. It's our opinion about these financial statements. And we assist you in putting them together, but bottom line is that this audit report is what you're after for the ISB requirements. It's a boilerplate report. You know, it just starts out by talking about what management's responsibilities are, what the auditor's responsibilities are. But if you turn to the second page, it gets into our opinions about these financial statements. And I always like to cover this at a school district because school districts presented this way are special. Because we have to first start out by saying that, you know, we have a paragraph there for the basis for an adverse opinion. These financial statements are prepared in accordance with ISB reporting requirements, but that's different than generally accepted accounting principles that other governments would use. So since these are your basic financial statements available to the public, but to point out to them that they're not fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Now, having said that, our fourth paragraph there is an opinion on the regulatory basis of accounting, and you can see that opinion is that, well, we have an exception, but you know, these financial statements are materially correct in all, you know, in all material respects and represent the assets and liabilities arising from cash transactions. Now, it's a clean audit opinion, which is what you're after, and you can see there's some wording in there about except for the paragraph before that. What that is that in your footnotes, you're missing some disclosures that ISB believes is necessary to be more meaningful. And what that has to deal with is the fact that you participate in IMRF. When someone retires, they're allowed to stay on your insurance coverage at the cost of the insurance, which is fine. There's no real current cost at that point. But from an actuarial standpoint, there's a cost built into the overall price of whatever we pay for that. And you have to have an actuarial study done to figure all that out, and that's additional cost. So you don't have that done. So, you know, that information's not in there, so we say it's not in here, the bottom line. So turn a couple of pages, you'll find another piece of our letterhead. And this is our report on your internal controls and compliance. So since you received federal funding, we have to issue this report. And it's boilerplate again. When it comes down to in the internal controls, it's the top of the second page of that report, the first paragraph. We noted two weaknesses in internal controls that we believe are material weaknesses. Now, what they are, and one of them is the standard. You don't have a CPA on staff, so you rely upon us to help you prepare these financial statements. That's a standard for most governments. Now, the other one is there's some weaknesses in reconciling some of the revenue and expense accounts. As you can see from some of the journal entries we propose, they're not all that severe, but they demonstrate that there's a lack of controls to catch those without us, catching them at the end of the year. So we're not internal or external, so we have to report that your internal controls aren't finding that. So that's what I want to cover on the reports. It's hard to tell you where to go next. It's quite a ways back, beyond all the ISB spreadsheets and footnotes. Try to get you a reference. It's quite a ways back. Right before where I'm going is page 30 and 33 of the AFR. It's a page that's titled Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. And as you try to find it, and I apologize, it's really hard to get page numbers in these. There's a lot of footnote disclosures required now by ISB and opinions and to deal with your pension funds, TRS and IRAP. And the TRS one, to give you an example now, is 6 pages long, explaining all the actuarial assumptions and everything that goes into it. But these two schedules I'm about to go over put numbers to that. And I just wanted you to see them because they're in there. And yep, that's it right there. Back. This is a lot of numbers about the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, but the whole point of this calculation is to come up with what your net pension liability is. So what's unfunded from an actuarial standpoint right now at the end of your fiscal year. Okay. There you go. So if you look, I know there's a lot here, but 4 lines from the bottom. The line is called net pension liability / asset ending. Okay. At the end of fiscal year, or well, this is based on calendar year. At the end of calendar year 2015, your IMRF was underfunded by almost $560,000. And that sounds bad, but that's actuarial. They're looking into the future, predicting returns. If you look at the year before, you were overfunded by $208,000. So this is coming down, and they smooth that out through your contribution rate. But that is a liability that'll get made up through contributions or earnings over time. The next, if you turn 2 more pages, that's the number that I just wanted to hit on more because it's a number that's not really been in your financial statements before. And if you follow generally accepted accounting principles, this is a number that would be recorded as a liability on your books. And you're not, you follow ISB reporting, but this is the TRS liability, okay? So the first line shows you your share of the entire state, which is a very small percent. And the second line shows the employer's proportionate share of the net pension liability. And at the end of fiscal year 15, it was a little over $1 million. Fiscal year 14 was $858,000. So it has went up a little bit, but the bigger number is the state's portion. And this has nothing to really do with you other than it's part of your account with them. It's the state's unfunded portions, $28.8 million, and the year before is $26.2. So those are big numbers that didn't used to be in here. In case you stumbled across them and wondered why they're in here. The State Board of Education has decided that that's useful information to have in here.
And one of the reasons why is that I'm assuming is because I know one of the discussions has been is to shift the pension liability over to the local school district, so that way we would pick that up. So if I'm hearing you right, under FY15 you had a 1.0 million. So you're saying, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that would be what our share would be. That would be our cost.
Local share.
That would be sheltered.
Yeah, because
that would be shifted over to the district.
why would our share go up $190,000, which is a significant, that's about 25% almost. And the state's goes up 2.6 million, which is 10%.
That's hard to explain. There's about 6 pages of actuarial information in the notes, but it still doesn't explain it. It's just, it's what they report. They do have an independent actuary do it, so, you know, it's not.
Are we getting more of it put down to us, or?
I don't
something we
think
should
so.
look at?
You know, it has a lot to do with how your current contributions are covering the incurred pension expenses. There's a lot of assumptions, rate of return on investment. It's really difficult. It's hard to get your.
But all the money's invested by the state.
Yes, the state handles all.
So the rate of return would be the same for us as it would be for them. So I don't understand why ours goes up 25 and theirs goes up 10.
It probably could have something to do with the age of our employees as they're aging out, maybe. So what I'm hearing from you is, because when I think TRS, I think of a set percent based off of my credible earnings going in. So if I'm hearing you right, though, this number is more based on a formula of what would be your cost to ensure that the TRS is fully funded.
They're paying out the last participant.
So this isn't just based off of a percent off of credible earnings, this is saying so the state has enough to run TRS. So they're saying this is what your share would be, and I don't know if I'm hearing you right, it sounds like it's based off of a formula, so that way it could be based on the age of your employees. You know, you have employees that are younger or older, you know, it's gonna be different over time, what they think the cost or the payout per employee would be. I'm assuming, I'm making just pure assumptions on that.
Yeah.
That'd be my speculation on that formula. I'd have to investigate it.
Yeah.
Does that also include someone that's already retired too?
No, that couldn't, that's a good point.
Yeah, it includes activating and retiring.
Everybody that's already on the
Yeah.
system,
Yeah.
retired, you're paying for it.
You're right.
And this is complicated, but, you know, you're looking, not you guys here, but just on the participants in, from the Paris 95 district, almost a $30 million unfunded expected liability. And the statutes, I just looked to make sure, you know, it's going to require that to be 90% funded by 2045. So the state's going to be, you know, having to figure out how to fund that. You know, they tell you how much to contribute, and that's what you contribute, and it either, you know, helps reduce that future liability, or, you know, it's not enough. So, you know, you're just a participant in the state's plan in this case. It's very different than IMRF. The IMRF is your account, and they administer it all, but they tell you how much you need to contribute to get it funded, and you do that. So, it's just a very big number that didn't used to be in here. You know? Okay. I try to answer any more questions about it. If you turn about 3 more pages, you'll find another piece of our letterhead. Since the district receives, the threshold's now more than $750,000 of federal funding, you have to have what we used to call single audit done, and now it's an audit in accordance with the uniform guidance. They changed this very substantially this year, but it's the same idea that out of your federal programs, we have to select certain ones and test your compliance with the programs, and then test your internal controls that help ensure you're compliant with those programs, and then we have to issue a report on that. So again, it's a very standard report. What I point out is on the last paragraph on the first page. You know, in our opinion, Paris 95 complied in all material respects with the types of compliance requirements referred to for the programs we look at. So that's a clean audit opinion under compliance. Okay. Now the second page is where we have to talk about your internal controls over compliance, and that's your systems that are in place to ensure you stay compliant with the program. So we have to evaluate those and test those. And you know, there's different levels of finding or not a finding, but when you have a finding, there's different levels of that. And you know, we don't have a material weakness in this area, but we did notice something we consider a significant deficiency in this area. And that's at the bottom of the 3rd paragraph, but it just refers you to another page. And you know, if we want to turn to that, It is it's back a few pages, but it's got page 44 at the top right. And this is part of the ISB standard form. Okay, so the program we picked for Title I, which we didn't have any training with, and the second one was it's called the Child Nutrition Cluster, the free and reduced lunch, breakfast, the commodities that you receive. So, you know, we just follow guidelines established by the White House on what we got to test and look for. And one of them is a very specific procedure. You know, you go through a process to determine free and reduced lunch, and then there's a follow-up that's to be done later on, and you're supposed to identify what they call error-prone applications and sample and follow up on a certain percentage of that. And you did all of that. The problem was that the threshold that you used to determine error-prone wasn't what it should have been. If an application's within $1,200, they're supposed to be marked error-prone, subject to being tested. And I think it might have been, it was a lower number. I don't want to say the number, I'm not 100% certain, but
It was $100. So basically what it was is when a parent submits a lunch application, if you submit a lunch application that is within $100, we verify your income. The auditor said you have to do $1,200. So that's the difference, is we need a larger threshold for when we're verifying income on those lunch applications.
yeah, that's exactly right. And to my understanding, it's already been communicated that everyone's involved and it's being implemented.
Yeah.
Because it's about this time of year when those verifications occur. You know, it's not a material finding because we don't believe it is likely to result in a wrong determination between free and reduced. But it is a deficiency because it wasn't following the exact guidelines. So, you know, there's no question cost. No, it's not money. It's just we need to improve controls, which you are going to do. So, now if you look in the very back, there's some loose pieces, and one of them's one piece of paper that's I call it the report presentation summary. We try to pull out what we think on a lot of schools find important in the report, put it in a place you can find it instead of me trying to navigate through the report. But the first item on there is your financial profile score, and that's the calculation the state does just to kind of monitor every district. And it was a 3.7 this year, which is improved from last year, 3.25, that's out of 4. And the designation this year is recognition, which
We looked up and that's the highest level. So recognition is the highest level. We just looked it up.
yeah, and last year you were reviewed, so it's an improvement in scoring there, so that's good.
And there's 2 below review. So there's 4 different that you can get, recognition, review.
And watch and warning.
Yeah.
And there's some more words in there, but if you're at the warning stage, you're getting some close guidance. So you're in a good position on that. Your long-term debt margin, what that means, that's how much bonding capacity you have based upon your EAV, and that's at $2.8 million now. So that's almost $1.5 million improvement. Your average daily attendance, is up 10 at 850. Your estimated operating expenses per pupil is at $99.57 this year versus $10,162 last year, so that's an improvement. Your estimated per capita, that's like the total expenses of the district divided by the ADA. Now, the per capita tuition charge is what I kind of refer more to what's the local cost of the education. It's at $86.27 versus $88.76 last year. So, close to $250, reduction in that average cost as well. So those are good, good trends. I've got all your cash investment balances listed there. I won't read all this to you. But the change in fund balances, if you have a business, think of net income, what you had at the end of the year last year versus this year, what was the change? So the education fund was positive $333,000 versus a deficit the year before that. O&M was positive versus a deficit. Now, a lot of it had to do with construction, things like that, and probably Q's that being paid off. The ones that stick out, transportation at a deficit for the year, but there's still quite a bit of reserves there. And capital projects fund was at a loss because that was winding down and getting paid out. overall, the total there for the whole district was a positive almost $64,000, so.
And I would like to say something, we had calculated it to be around like 5,000 at the end, and so I had called, asked what the difference was between what we calculated and then that 63,000 at the end, and I was told that was due to cash flow.
Yeah.
So that was due to like health insurance payments, TRS payments, that, it's like you pay your bill at the end of the month versus the bills due right at the beginning of the next month. And so that's why there's that change in that overall from about 5,000 to 63,000, so I did ask them about that.
Yeah, the thing about our financial statement is that there's a cutoff, there's a firm cutoff at June 30th, so there's some health insurance checks and TRS, like Mr. Larson mentioned, that are cut, but they're not been submitted yet, so you still technically have them on June 30th, even though they're going out the next couple of days, so it's just a solid cutoff we try to maintain, so. The last one on there I find encouraging for you, and is that your EAVs for next year is at 78.6 million versus 69.6. So that's a pretty good increase.
Well, that's good news and bad news, because the bad news is we probably,
6 million of it's abated.
6 million's abated, so
It's not hitting the brakes heading EAV.
there won't be money in our pocket.
Well, that's too bad. But at least it's coming, maybe.
Yeah, one of these days.
The last two items in there are just some loose letters. The thinner one is what we call our management letter. These are, if we saw something we think can be done better type of things, they're not odd findings, but they're just suggestions for improvement. And we just have one this year, under current year comments. We call it the bills payable listing. But what it is we looked at a sample of 20 expenses, and part of that was comparing to the bill list that you guys approved during the consent agenda there. And we noted one of them on that list, and it was a recurring, I don't remember if it's a utility bill or not, I've got lots of schools in my head right now, but it's a recurring bill that's due before the next board meeting, and there's approval to pay those. Everything's fine about it, but what we recommend is that those types of bills are also added to the list, just so there's documentation that the board have reviewed after the fact. So it's not an audit finding, but just a recommendation. So. The last thing is it's a communication with those charged with governance, which are you guys. And it's just certain things we have to communicate to you. It's very standard. This is where I normally say I don't have anything to talk about, but there is one thing on here I need to point out, and I won't make you try to find it, but we point out that the pension disclosures that are now in your financial statements contain significant assumptions that are subject to change, and that's just something we have to point out to you, that there's pretty significant assumptions in that. That was a little longer than I thought I'd go, but I'd be happy to take any questions, try to answer them, or get back to you.
Are there any questions for him while he's here? And then if we do have any questions, we can always contact him as well. Thank you very much for your time and patience. Okay, I'm going to continue on with the superintendent's agenda, starting with resignation. Corey Burns has resigned from cleaning the Eads building. These buildings included Head Start, Work to 3, the Creative Center, and the Willis Center. Corey requested that our last day be September 30th. So at this time, I'm asking the board to approve Corey Burns' resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? A motion has been made and seconded to approve Corey Burns' resignation. Would each member please respond to the motion? Bailey?
Yes.
Noble?
Yes.
Mathis?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
Idleness, yes.
Okay. Next, we have employment for a part-time custodian to fill Tori's position. October 3rd, BJ Collier started working as a substitute custodian because we needed to have a sub go in and start cleaning.
Who?
BJ Collier, to help with the cleaning at the Eads buildings. This position was posted, and Sam Roberts is making a recommendation for BJ Collier as a part-time custodian, and then encloses BJ Collier's application. At this time, I'm asking the board to approve BJ Collier as a part-time custodian.
So moved. Sorry.
Any discussion? A motion has been made and seconded to approve BJ Collier as a part-time custodian.
Yes.
Would each member please respond to the motion? Bailey? Yes. Notable?
Yes.
Mathis?
Yes.
Sanchez? Tuttle?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Next, we have employment for the Memorial Yearbook sponsor. Memorial Elementary School has posted for a yearbook sponsor, and 2 teachers have shown interest in sharing this position. They would do this by splitting the stipend in Schedule A of the APT contract in half. Mr. Don has enclosed a recommendation for Taylor Redmond and Jessica Mayhew. At this time, I'm asking the board to approve Taylor Redmond and Jessica Mayhew as co-sponsors for the Memorial Elementary School yearbook.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? A motion has been made and seconded to approve the Memorial Yearbook co-sponsors. Would each member please respond to the motion? Bailey? Yes. Notable?
Yes.
Mathis?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Okay, next we have our board policy. We met with the committee, we had our first reading, so this has been going on for at least 2.5 months. This month is our second reading of the following board policies. So this includes 270 vacancies on school board, 6100 using animals in the educational program, 235 access to electronic networks, 270 administration and medication. And I'd like to remind you that administration and medication refers to the EpiPens that are used for overdoses to opiates. 890 is parent organizations and booster clubs. 8110 is public suggestions and concerns. All of these board policies are recommended by the Illinois Association of School Boards and have been reviewed by the Paris 75 School Board Committee. Enclosed are the policies for your review. Are there any questions about any of those policies? Okay. At this time, I'm asking the board to approve these board policies.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? A motion has been made and seconded to approve 6 board policies. Would each member please respond to this motion? Bailey? Yes. Notable?
Yes.
Mathis?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Tuttle?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Okay. Next, I have some informational items. The first one is school report cards. We were hoping to present tonight on the school report card data. The school, Illinois State Board of Education, they put out an official school report card every year, and they have not posted it yet. So while we know what our scores are, we don't have the official report card, and those numbers sometimes change a little bit depending on a calculation. For example, if a student is in at the beginning of the year and then moves out, or they move in later in the year, so sometimes those calculations fluctuate a little bit. But for the, I would say 98% of what you got is pretty darn accurate to what it's going to be. So we will be presenting on that next month, and I was told that should come out anywhere from October 20th to October 30th. So anywhere within that 10-day window, you should see them posted on IllinoisReportCard.com. The next thing that I would like to speak about is the superintendent evaluation form. I would like to be evaluated as a superintendent this year if the board is willing to allow me to be. And so I didn't know if a good starting point would be just to even pick out a form or a template you would like. I had contacted other superintendents within the region and asked them what do they use. So I have those enclosed. I don't know if you want to pick one out as a board. I don't know if you want me to just tell you which one I like to use. I don't know if we want to form a committee. We wouldn't be doing this tonight, but it would be something, I mean, we can choose a template whenever we want to, but the evaluation would happen second semester. So my goal would be is, it'd be nice for me, in my role, to just know my measuring stick, what I'm going to be measured up against. And so, 2 of the ones that really stuck out to me is St. Joe and Crestwood, both within there. If you look at Crestwood, it's only 2 pages, so it's not overly complicated. St. Joe's is also very similar to that. It's more pages. St. Joe's, we'd have to take out the superintendent goals, because you can see they have goals written into their contract. Since I'm a single year, I don't have goals written into my contract. Goals are written for multi-year contracts. But you would still see, it seems pretty easy. You can also see on there the one we use for the high school, if we wanted to use the same one we use for Mr. Meister. We have all different types on there, so it's really up to you. Just from my perspective, if you want to flip back, if you look at the Crestwood one, it seems pretty easy. You can see it's just a set of numbers. Yeah, it's a rating scale of 1 to 5. There's 25 questions, and then the second page allows you to just list some feedback. And I thought that'd be pretty simple. So everyone would be able to fill it out, and you guys could create a summative one together. If you look at the St. Joe one, the St. Joe one's similar. The thing about the Crestwood one, I would say too, is if everyone, so let's say Cindy gives me a 1, and Tom gives me a 5, and someone else gives me 3, you could add them up and put an average number with it. You see what I'm saying? So it makes it a little bit different. Whereas if you do excellent, proficient, and satisfactory, you'll have to, I would assume you'd have to at some point agree with the board as to what it's going to be. Whereas with numbers, you can take an average. And then you probably don't want to go through 15 pages of evaluation. But you're welcome to if you want to. A little more feedback will just make me better at my job. So my question to you is, how would you want to proceed with this? Did you want to form a committee? Did you want me to just tell you which one? Do you want to pick one as an entire board? What are your thoughts? And I'll open to anything.
My thoughts are, I need to be more familiar with the
Okay.
forms, and it might be
Something
better
kind of
at
look
the
at.
next meeting and maybe a committee would be in order to make the recommendations. I mean, I think that it's worked well with the finance committee, it's worked well with our policy committee. I think that's,
Well, I don't think it would hurt to form a small committee just to even designate a time frame to which we want to do it. So I will schedule an evaluation committee. What I'll do is there, do you want me to send it out to all of you a date and time? And then if you want to be there, or do I have specific members who want to be a part of that committee?
what's our legal liability if everybody shows up? We have to have.
Well, we post all of our committee meetings anyways,
Okay.
so we post all of them. So,
I think that everybody's input is valuable, and if they want to send it with somebody else and not show up, or they want to show up and discuss it, I think that'd be a great idea.
absolutely. Okay, so I will post a date on that. The next thing is, we had a FOIA request. So we received a FOIA request from Smart Procure. They were basically looking for our purchasing list, and then they're able to connect buyers and suppliers to make those connections. So we've received FOIA requests from them in the past. The roof repair is actually going very quickly, much more quickly than we had thought it would. You can see pictures in there of what the roofs look like. They will be starting this administration building, just kind of give you an idea of the time frame. We were thinking this administration building would be done in the spring. They're gonna start working on it this week. And so it's going a lot quicker than we had anticipated. And so far, we've had a really good experience with our roofers, so we're very happy with the performance. You have an update from Mrs. Sutton on support services and see the different activities she's been working on. You can also see one from Carol Jones on professional development activities. Something I'd like to say about professional development activities is that this last Friday was a countywide teacher institute. We had over 200 teachers sitting in the Paris Center of Fine Arts watching that institute. I can tell you that I was surprised at the number of teachers afterwards who came up and shook our hands and said how great of an institute it was. Because most of the time they want to roll out the door, and so it was a very different experience. I cannot place enough value on having all the first grade teachers in the county come together and share their experience and knowledge. All the science teachers in the county come together and share their knowledge. And so I think that was a really, really nice event. I also want to say, in order to do that, it took a lot of work. And so I really commend Carol Jones for all the work that she put into that to organize that. She was contacting all the different schools. We had, just so you understand, we had a main presenter and then breakout sessions. She was working with the breakout sessions. So that way, there were people from Kristen who presented, Shiloh who presented. We had people from Eastern Illinois University who presented. And so Carol was able to recruit all of them and coordinate that. And so I really appreciate that. I also really appreciate the high school and the cafeteria staff, because it was a very nice breakfast. And so it was just a really nice experience that we had.
I've heard a lot of positive feedback
I
from
have
the
to.
people that attended this particular one.
I just can't say enough good things about it, because I feel proud that we as a district were able to lead the charge on bringing the county together. Had over 200 teachers in a room together, working together, making us all better by working together. So it makes me happy. Another thing on the informational is the Triple I Conference. In November, we have the Triple I Conference. It'll be held in Chicago. Each year, we send a delegate to represent our school board to vote on resolutions. John Sanchez has been our delegate in the past. He's volunteered to do it again. One of the things that I know from John's perspective is it's nice to get input from the board on the different resolutions that we vote on. John, did you want to say anything about that?
I just would like, just really input, because the first time I went, I was on the fly, so, but I would really like some input this year, if there's any specifics that we need to look over.
Absolutely. And I can create a little bit of a summary page.
That's
from my
probably gonna
perspective.
be something that you need to put together in terms of how it affects
Us.
your operation.
Yeah,
rather than
absolutely.
what we do. So, I think you probably would be the lead man and
Yeah.
giving some direction.
Yeah.
Personal opinion.
But if there's anything that you want to share with John, make sure to do that as well. We also have our health life safety inspection. The health life safety inspection occurred on October 6th between Bobby Mattingly and Kyle Thompson. They inspected all the buildings, and so we're waiting to get those reports back and review them. So that's something we've been working on. And that ends my superintendent's review.
All right, thank you. Do we have any committee reports? Public hearing or petitions? Unfinished business? Matters for follow-up? New business? Right to revert to prior order of business? Executive session? Adjournment.